and welcome to another episode of Disney Movie Investigation. If this is your first time watching, welcome to the show. In each episode, we take a look at a movie that is featured on Disney+. On this episode, we are taking a look at our final Halloween movie as we take a look at Casper, starring Christina Richi. And if you are enjoying these episodes, I do ask that you please hit that subscribe button. That way you'll be notified with each new video. Now, sit back and enjoy this episode of Disney Movie Investigation. So today we are covering Casper. This movie was released on May 26, 1995, and it was directed by Brad Sterling. The screenplay was written by Sherry Stoner and Deanna Oliver. The production companies were Amblin Entertainment, Universal Pictures, and the Harvey Entertainment Company, and it was distributed by Universal Pictures. The budget for this movie was $55 million, and it did a box office return of $289.9 million. But let's take a look at the backstory. So Steven Spielberg had been long time planning a adaptation of the popular comic strip Casper the Friendly Ghost. And upon seeing an episode of Brooklyn Bridge, directed by Brad Sterling, Spielberg would end up hiring him to direct his comic book adaptation. J.J. Abrams would be brought in to do a uncredited rewrite of the screenplay, and his contributions were mostly the backstory of Casper and how he became a ghost. This was vastly different than the comic book, the comic strip in the comic book, was that because in the comics, Casper was a ghost baby to ghost parents, versus in the movie, he actually was a human boy that had passed away. The movie was filmed between January 27th of 1994 and wrapped on June 8th of 1994. Other than some location shots in Maine, the movie was mostly shot on studio sets. The ghosts were CGI, and this was actually the first film to have a fully fledged CGI character as a leading role. In terms of how complicated this was, they would say that a 90-second scene with Casper and Christina Richi would take 8 months to animate. So it was a vastly extensive process. In terms of the soundtrack of the movie, James Horner would compose the score for the movie, and this score became so popular that several tracks would be used for other Universal projects. The first track, One Last Wish, would actually be used for a Universal Pictures logo through time montage as part of one of their anniversaries. And the track Descent into Lazarus would be used for the trailer for How the Grinch Stole Christmas starring Jim Carrey. The soundtrack remains popular that a 25th anniversary album would be released on August 4th of 2020. So in terms of the cast, we have Malaki Pearson, who does the voice of Casper. Devon Sawa is the Casper as a human boy at the end. Christina Richi plays Cat Harvey. Bill Pullman plays Dr. James Harvey. Kathy Moriarty plays Kerrigan Crinton. Eric Idle plays Dibbs. And Joe Niptoy does the voice of Stretch. Joe Alaskey does the voice of Stinky, and Brad Garrett provides the voice of Fatso. So in terms of the plot, Casper is a friendly ghost who lives in the haunted mansion of Whipstaff Manor in Friendship, Maine, along with his 3 obnoxious ghostly uncles, Stretch, Fatso, and Stinky. And Casper has been hoping for a friend for over 100 years. When a spoiled woman named Kerrigan Curtington discovers that there is a treasure hidden underneath the mansion, she, along with her partner Dibbs, arrive to seek it out. When Casper introduces himself to them, they are frightened by him and their uncles, who scare them out of the house. Thanks to Casper, however, they hire Dr. James Harvey, a ghost therapist who connects with the living dead and helps them cross over to the other side. Once Dr. James Harvey arrives with his daughter Kat, Casper develops a crush on her and tries to make friends with her and James, but his uncles attempt to scare them away. So this was a huge kind of tentpole picture for Universal in the summer of 1995. Because the movie was so successful, it left quite a huge legacy. So the movie would lead to a creation of an animated TV show called The Spooktacular New Adventures of Casper, which aired in 1996, and it featured the three uncles were the same voice actors, but Dr. James Harvey was voiced by Dan Castellaneta, and Kat was voiced by Kathy Soothey. Yeah. So, as well as several video games would be produced on the film, based on the film, and these would be released for Super Nintendo, PlayStation, and Game Boy Color, along with a Tiger Electronic LCD game. So in 2000, a CGI film, Casper's Haunted Christmas, was released as kind of a follow-up to this movie. And in 2006, Classic Media would release another show called Casper's Scare School. In March of 2014, DreamWorks Animation announced that they were attempting to do a reboot of the film, but it was never able to get out of development. In April of 2022, it was announced that a live-action series was in development for the Peacock streaming service, with Wei Ku being attached as a showrunner, but as of this recording, nothing has been released. However, there was 2 direct-to-video prequels released based on Casper. These included Casper, A Spirited Beginning, and Casper Meets Wendy. There was actually supposed to be a sequel of this movie as well, where a screenplay was written by screenwriter Simon Wells. However, in July of 2000, it was announced that it was canceled because Christina Richi was no longer interested in appearing in the film, and they felt without Christina Richi, it would not be able to go forward. So would I recommend this movie? I think this is a great kind of Halloween movie for families. It has some adult humor, but there's a lot. It's not too scary for little kids as well. There's a little bit of some gross scenes, but other than that, there's no like horror or death or anything. So I think that's really cool. I also think it's a nice way to teach children about kind of the spiritual world in a kind of a nice family-friendly way. The CGI still holds up, I think. Casper is very well animated, along with the three uncles. I also think Christina Ricci does a really good job. It's very heartfelt and very warming. And then, yeah, I think this is a great kind of family film to have kids watch on Halloween. So definitely recommend it. So thank you so much for joining us here on another episode of Disney Movie Investigation. I would invite anyone to please leave a comment below on what they think of Casper. And as we look forward to our next episode, we're going back into the world of Disney Channel original movies as we take a look at Johnny Tsunami. So until next time, I hope you have a magical day, and we will see you real soon.